have sampled and started every single one of these books.
I hate this book. I hate this book.
Grown people who do nothing else but being horny for each other. This is my favorite Emily Henry book.
No. Sorry. But no. Good morning, guys. Good morning. You cannot tell, but it is at around 5 a.m. A couple of minutes after 5 a.m. Excuse me. And we are about to start a 24-hour reading challenge. As soon as I get out of bed, I grab the books and I will show you what I selected for today's readathon.
Well guys, I'm all dressed up and I am ready to go to the gym. But before I do that, I wanted to show you the 3 books that we will be reading in today's video. And I have sampled and started every single one of these books because these books were featured in my reading the first chapters of the books on my TBR, and I adored every single one of these books and I think it's time to finish them. So, one of the books that we will be reading in today's video is Funny Story by Emily Henry. Sorry, let me just cover the cover because the reflection of the ring light is going to blind you guys. So this is the first book, and when I read the first chapter of this book, I was hooked and I didn't want to put it down, and it just reminded me how much I actually like Emily Henry's writing. And I have not read an Emily Henry book for 2 years now, so I think it's time. It's time to read something from her, and it's gonna be Funny Story. I will tell you more about the book and the story and the characters and everything later on in the video once I actually, read a couple of chapters in the book. And then the second book that we will be reading in today's video is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. And again, I cannot even tell you how excited I am to read this book because this book will be my first Leigh Bardugo. I never read anything from her, and the fact that it's a fantasy, it's a standalone, and it's historical, and it's got a gorgeous cover like that, I mean, say less. I am picking this book up. I am so intrigued, so interested in this book. Leigh Bardugo in an interview said that this is easily her most personal book that she's ever written. And she is very vulnerable when it comes to this book because this book is connected to her family history. So I am here for it. I want to read it. This is also a gorgeous, gorgeous book. So look at that cover. Just look at that cover. I mean, so nice. And then the third book that we will be reading in today's video is 5 Broken Blades by Mike Corland. Never read anything from this author because I think that she is mostly like a middle grade author, like she writes children books, and this is her first adult fantasy. Look at those braid edges. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book this is. So this book has been compared to Six of Crows. I cannot tell you, if that comparison is valid or not because I never read Six of Crows. But when I sampled the first chapter of this book, I didn't stop until chapter 13. So this book started out insanely good. And the premise of this book is very interesting. This book is basically, I can tell you a little bit about this book because I already read the first 12 chapters, right? But this book is basically following a group of people who were summoned to kill the god king of Joseon, because this king is a terrible king. The poor is really suffering under his reign, while the rich, they are just living their lives, like spending money, keeping slaves, whatever. So the king has to die. And these 5 people. Some of them are assassins, some of them are hitmen, and we also have a prince. You know, it's like a group of people. They are planning a plot to kill the king. And so far, I am really enjoying it. I only stopped because I had other books to sample in that particular video, but I am now ready to continue. Now, I have the audiobook for this book through Libby. I have no idea why, because it's a new release and I cannot believe that no other people put their paws on the audiobook, but I'm not complaining. So I have the audiobook for these ones. I don't have the audiobook for these books. I am kind of tempted to get the audiobook for this one because it's always Julia Whelan who narrates Emily Henry's books, and I adore, like, I think that Julia Whelan is one of the best audiobook narrators of our time. So I'm kind of tempted to get it, but I don't have it yet. I don't have audiobooks for these ones. So I am going to take this one, the audiobook version of this one, to the gym with me. I will have a really long session at the gym. I expect to spend about 2 hours there. So I think I will make like significant progress when it comes to this book. And when that happens, I will pop back in and tell you all my thoughts. So see you guys soon in my next update. Well guys, I finished at the gym, as you can probably tell. I am not at the gym anymore. I am outside because I decided to get off the T and walk a couple of stops home because I want to enjoy this beautiful early summer day. That's one of the reasons. And then the second reason is that I need to go to the grocery store because I need to get blueberries. I want to make blueberry muffins in the afternoon, but I don't have any blueberries. So I need to buy some. Oh, and it is starting to rain now. Oh, what's so cool. But back to my grocery shopping. Anyways, it's just a little bit of water. Now, if I cannot get my hands on any blueberries, then I am going with the original plan, making strawberry mango muffins, and those sound just as good, but I'm hoping that I can get some blueberries. But this is not about me and my stomach. This update is not about that. This update is about the book, because I spent a good 2 hours at the gym and I made significant progress. I think I'm at the 70% mark in the book, but it was a chore, guys. It was a chore. I hate this book. I hate this book. Never has a book gone south so quickly as this one. And I am so disappointed. This book started out like in the first 15 chapters, and that's why I adored it, because this book started out as like a quest and a road trip with a bunch of characters. I love when fantasy books have like, you know, bazillion of characters. I really like that, because I am a character-driven reader, and I like, you know, relationships and romantic subplots. And that was fine because the romance was just a subplot. And then we took a 180 turn, and now all this book is about the characters being hot for each other and wanting to be on top of each other. I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? Where is the plot? Where is the character development? Like, what are we doing in this book? So I am really not enjoying it. And I still have like about 20 chapters to go, so I am hoping that the author will turn this around and we will end in a way that I will want to pick up the second book, because we already know that this is a duology, and when I start a series, I am a completionist, so I have to finish the series. So fingers crossed that the author will somehow, I don't know, save this book, but I did not expect this. I did not expect this, and I am not enjoying it. That's all I can say. So I will see you next once I finished this book. So see you in a couple of seconds. time for the next update because I finished this book and I also started Funny Story. But first, this book. Let's discuss this book. Though there's not much I want to discuss about this book because I kind of feel like I've given enough attention to this book. Unfortunately, the author was not able to turn this book around and I really did not like this book. I regret buying it, I regret reading it, and ultimately I cannot recommend this book. I stand by my opinion that the first 15 chapters, it's really good. It's so gripping, it sucks you into the story. And you know what? The last 5 chapters, it's good. And there was one thing in the end that I did not see coming, okay? That's fine. But I was so tired by the end of this book because we spent 60 chapters. I think this book is like total 85, 86 chapters. We spent 60 chapters with people, grown people, who do nothing else but being horny for each other instead of focusing on their quest and on their tasks. And I kind of feel that the author was like, you know what, I'm tired of children's fiction, I'm tired of writing children's book, I want to write about grown-ass people being horny for each other. And I think she succeeded. If that was the goal, I think she succeeded. I am a character-driven girly and I am a sucker for relationships. So I was like, okay, let's just try to enjoy, you know, these 60 chapters. But I couldn't because the relationships between the characters, not just the romantic ones, but all other relationships, they were so fake. These people don't care for each other. And even when they say that they do, it's all but lust. Nothing else. It's not good. I know that it's a duology and I know that the second book is coming out maybe next year. I don't know. I am a completionist, so maybe I will pick it up. I don't know. I don't even want to think about it. This book was such a huge disappointment. So I don't want to talk about it anymore. I just want to put it aside and focus on the books that I like because Funny Stories so far, it's a hit. It's a hit, guys. I am on chapter 8, so I read 74 pages in this book. And I am freaking loving this. And I like this is early to say, probably, but I think that this is my favorite Emery Henry so far. Yeah, this is my favorite Emily Henry so far. Now, when it comes to my relationship with Emily Henry, it's funny because I usually like the books that nobody likes, like Beach Read and The People We Meet on Vacation, and I don't really like the books that everybody likes, like for example, Book Lovers. But nobody can deny that Emily Henry is a fantastic writer and she shines in this book. I don't know why I like it so much. Maybe it's just simple hunger because I am hungry for a book that, you know, I could adore. So maybe it's that. I don't know, but so far I really like the characters. I really like the female character. I really like the guy as well. So far it's going really well. I don't want to jinx it because I also like this book in the beginning. So the plot. This book starts out with Daphne and Peter being engaged and being in a relationship for like years now. And then Peter goes on his bachelor party and then he realizes that, oh, by the way, I am in love with my childhood best friend, Petra, and we actually decided to get together. So Daphne, could you move out? Because I kind of need a house. And then Daphne moves out and then she ends up moving in with Petra's ex, Miles. I really like the characters in this book, not just the main characters, but the side characters as well. I like that everybody is so mature, and it's not just about their age, though I do like that her characters are in their 30s, but it's not just about that, it's about emotional maturity, and I really like that. And she is a fantastic writer, and it's usually, you know, not always about the romance, but she's discussing through the characters just normal, simple, everyday issues. And most of us live a simple, everyday life, but simple matters. The everydays matter. So I really like it. I am really enjoying this book and I cannot wait to keep reading this book. I am super tempted to get the audiobook because I think that nobody else can narrate Emily Henry like Julia Whelan does. This book does not sound as good in my head as Julia Whelan sounds in audio. So I kind of feel like I want to buy the audiobook, and then also I can do things around the house. Well, I will keep reading this book or listening to this book. I haven't really decided yet. And I will pop back in with the next update, probably when I finish this book, because I don't want to stop reading this book. Well, guys, you cannot see me, but you can hear me, and that's enough. I am about to bake some muffins and then have some coffee because I desperately need some afternoon pick-me-up, because reading is tiring. I love it, I enjoy it, my biggest hobby ever, but it is tiring. So let's get something in my belly. Otherwise, I won't be able to continue this.
I don't know about you, but when I make blueberry muffins, I want them so full with blueberries that they are technically blue. And that's exactly what happened in this case, but I love it. Damn! I'm patting myself on the back. This is really good.
This is my favorite Emily Henry book. Period. I did get the audio and I was not disappointed because Julia Whelan's performance, I mean, it's always top notch, but especially when it comes to this book, I just loved it. I loved everything about this book. I fell in love with the characters, main characters and side characters in this book, and I think that that's one of the things that Emily Henry does so well, besides, like, you know, having that beautiful writing style, that she will craft a character that one way or another you see yourself in, and you just identify with them immediately, and then you just feel for them immediately, and it was no different in this book. I loved how real this book is, because it's not just about a cutesy romance between adults, but also this book discusses complex issues, usually family dynamics, and in this book it is family dynamics as well. So good, so real, and I just absolutely freaking adore it. The only reason why it's not making it into my holy grails is because I did find that in the middle it was a little bit boring. And I think that the author should have just like cut maybe like 20-30 pages, because it was just a little bit flat. And also I don't understand this about Emily Henry's male characters, and I don't understand why she writes this like this, but the guys in her books, they get hard like so easily just by looking at the woman or just like kissing the woman. And I'm sorry, but that's not how this works. That's not how this works. And this is not the only book. Like, I remember like in Book Lovers, I was also like, the amount of times that this guy is hard, like what's happening? Like, nobody sees it. Like, he needs some kind of condition. You should see a doctor, you know? And that was the same in Funny Story. But other than these two little things that I am not super serious about, this was a fantastic book. And just like I said, my favorite Emily Henry. And now I am so hyped and intrigued to read Happy Place. So yeah, this is going fantastic. Now, with this book done, I am going to take like 30 minutes break or maybe an hour break. I need it. And when I'm done with that, with my little break, then we will start The Familiar. And oh my god, I hope that this book is not going to let me down. Oh wow, I look really, really shiny. Really shiny, and my eyes are really red. Well, I am shiny because I just did my nighttime skincare, and usually for the night I just like drench myself in face oil, and my eyes are red because I'm fighting yawning. Clearly I cannot fight it, because this book is a snooze fest, and I am struggling, guys. I am struggling. I have no idea what this book is about. I am about to start chapter 16, and look at that. I am a good 20-25% into this book, and I cannot tell you what this book is about. And that is the reason why I'm only popping in at like chapter 16. I just have absolutely no idea what to tell you about this book, other than it is incredibly boring and nothing happens in this book. I'm sorry, but let's not be that dramatic, because I do have some thoughts about this book. So the plot, there's none really, but what I know so far is that our main character is Lucia, and Lucia is a maid at a household, and she directly works for Doña Valentina. And we know that she has some kind of magic. I don't understand the magic system at all in this book, so not much I can say. But her magic works in a way that when she sings, she's able to amplify food, for example, or to fix food. Like, for example, when the cook burned the bread, she was able to fix the crust of the bread. And things like this, really. Just like she's just trying to make her life as a maid a little bit easier, trying to help herself out when it comes to her chores with this magic, right? And then Doña Valentina realizes what she's doing, and she and her husband, they are trying to climb the social ladder, and they begin to exploit Lucia and her magic. And now, at around chapter 16, I think the story is about to pick up, because she captured the attention of like a mysterious man who is connected to the King of Spain. And this book takes place after the defeat of the Spanish Armada. This is kind of all that I can say without spoiling anything, though again it's really hard to spoil anything because nothing happens in this book. Now, one of my biggest issues with this book, besides being like boring so far and not really a fantasy, I don't see the fantastical elements because I don't understand the magic, right? Is that the setting is so complicated for me, because maybe I should know this, but I don't. I don't know how Madrid in the 1500s looked like. I don't know anything about the streets, the people, the clothes, the food, the houses. I don't know anything, and the author doesn't describe anything about the world. And I understand that it takes place in the historical real world, but like I still need some kind of world building. I need to understand where I am, and I need to imagine where I am, and I cannot, because the descriptions are so poor, and I don't like that. And there is nothing I can hold on to, because plot, I don't understand. Characters, I don't understand. We have so many characters in this book, and I'm like, wait, like, who is the main character? Like, I don't even understand that. I am like so confused. But again, I think this book is about to pick up, and I think it's time for this book to pick up. So next time when I give you an update, hopefully I will have better news, and hopefully I will have good opinion about this book and what's happening in this book. So I'll see you soon, in a couple of hours, once I made some significant progress. Well, guys, I am taking a little bit of break from reading. It is around midnight. I don't know what is the time. 11:42. And I just need a little bit of break from this book. So I've been reading articles, interviews
with Leigh Bardugo about this book, and I just thought that, hey, since I'm taking a break, I can just pop in and give you a little bit of an update, because I am on chapter like 35. I am about to start chapter 36, and I am really struggling with this book. I don't understand what's happening. I mean, nothing is happening. That's the problem. I don't know what else to say. I've already said what I needed to say. This book is 370 pages or around that page number, and absolutely nothing happens. And I think that I understand the message and what the author is trying to say, but almost 400 pages. So sorry, but it's just not working for me. Honestly, I was seriously considering to DNF this book, but I only have like a couple more chapters, like 20 chapters maybe to go, so I am not going to, and I'm not going to DNF my first Leigh Bardugo, especially after like reading all those articles and interviews with her. This woman is so talented and so intelligent, and like honestly, reading everything that she says in these interviews and specifically about this book, like I can tell that this book actually means so much to her, because in this book she basically discusses family history and how her family, as a Jewish family, escaped the Spanish Inquisition. And of course, I understand the meaning to her. I'm like, I'm not going to DNF it out of respect, and because I think that she is a massively talented and intelligent woman. But I am really, really struggling with this book, and I'm not liking it. And honestly, I cannot recommend it. Unless something happens in that last 20 chapters or so, because I just keep waiting for this book to pick up. And I just have this feeling every time I finish a chapter that, oh, now it's gonna pick up. Now it's gonna pick up. Now the story is gonna be interesting. And I just keep waiting for that moment, and it just never happens. So I am also like really, really tired. This is not a good combination. I am tired and I am reading a really boring book. So how I am still awake? Now that's a good question. Anyways, when I finish this book, I will just pop back in to let you know that, yep, indeed, I finished the book. But as far as updates go, I think I will only like give you my final thoughts tomorrow, because I don't have any brain left in me. Done, guys. I am done with the book. It's finished. The last chapter was total mayhem, and I had to read it twice just to fully understand how the book ends. Okay? And I feel that I read 350 pages for like the last 10 pages, because that was good. You know, I'm gonna give that to Leigh Bardugo. The ending was actually really nice. But again, 350 pages for those 10 pages. No. Sorry, but no. I'm gonna go to sleep now, though I can hear birds chirping out there, so maybe it's time to soon wake up. Anyways, I'm gonna go to sleep, and then tomorrow I will give you all my final thoughts about this book, because I want to sit with this book just a little bit, sleep on it, try to understand this book more, but we'll talk tomorrow.
Well, okay, I am basically here to give you my final thoughts about The Familiar, because yesterday I was like way too tired and out of brain to give you my my final thoughts about this book, and I am actually so happy that I slept on reviewing this book. It didn't change my opinion about this book, but I feel like I am a little bit more collected than I was last night because I was truly tired. First, I want to discuss the things that I liked about this book, and then all the things that I didn't like, because ultimately, unfortunately, this book was not for me. But I did find many things that I liked about this book. First and foremost, Leigh Bardugo's writing, because again, this was my first Leigh Bardugo. I just keep saying the same thing in this video. Sorry about that. This was my first Leigh Bardugo, and I wanted to sample her writing, and I must say that she is fantastic. I mean, there's a reason why she sells millions of books, right? So I don't need to come here and tell you that she is a fantastic writer, but I say that I would feel very comfortable picking up any other books from her, whatever she comes out with, because I understand her and her writing style so easily. Also, being a character-driven reader, I enjoy when there is a bazillion of characters in a book, and this book is no different than that. And I like that when the book ended, she gave an ending for each character, because reading the book I was like, this book is only 350 something pages and we have so many characters, and every single one of these characters actually felt like a main character, and I'm like, this is definitely the standalone. How is she going to finish this book and give an end story to all of these characters? And she did, and that is something that I appreciated. And as long as we're talking about the ending of this book, it was fireworks. And honestly, that last chapter, and I should say like the last 5 chapters, it was so gripping. And I kind of expected that the whole book would be like that. It wasn't. But that ending made this book for me. I mean, I did read like 300 whatever pages just for that ending, so like, you know, but the ending was good. I always appreciate a book with female empowerment, and this book definitely touched on women's role in a historical setting. And like, you know, back in those days, women were very restricted, and how they actually worked around their restrictive roles, that was very interesting for me to see. I mean, there are so many women still out there who are living in very restricted worlds, right? And they just have to somehow make it work, and they have to survive in that world. And I think it was very important for her to include it in the book. And I remember like reading this interview with her like yesterday while I was scrolling on my phone, and she said that she came across a book or like some kind of material that said that back in the 1500s, like rich ladies were actually so restricted that they couldn't even leave a house, not even necessarily with a chaperone, and they were dying literally for human contact, because sometimes they just leaned out their windows, but they leaned out too far and then they actually fell to their death. And I was like, oh wow. And somehow, like, she said herself that she wanted to incorporate that in this book, and I think that she did an excellent job. Like, you would think that money and wealth actually liberates you. She was like, no, that's not how it was with history. Actually, women who were like poor and working like just as maids, they had more power and more influence than wealthy women. Okay, now the things that I didn't like. And the first thing I want to say, and honestly I shouldn't really put this in this category because it's like, it's not something that I didn't like, it's just I feel that it's a case of misadvertisement. Saying that this book is historical fantasy, this is just not true. I'm sorry, but this is a historical fiction book with fantasy elements and some magical elements. I can accept that, but this book was not a fantasy. Like, sorry, but like nobody's going to convince me that this book is a fantasy book. Now, I don't have a problem with historical fiction. I read a lot of historical stuff and I am actually somebody who really enjoys it. And I think that the problem with this book, the singular problem with this book was how incredibly boring this was. I'm sorry, but this book was very boring and this book was very slow to the point that when you finish a chapter, you just keep thinking, oh, do I want to start another chapter or do I just want to, like, you know, close this book and just finish for today? Because I was in a 24-hour readathon, like, you know, I decided to keep going, but it was a real struggle. It was a real chore, and I believe that the pacing was incredibly off in this book, because honestly, when you read 350 pages just to get the last 5 chapters, I don't know, the last 20-25 pages of a book where all the action happens, I'm sorry, but that's not a good pacing. I also did not really understand the religious part in the book, and it's not something that I want to put in the did like or didn't like category, because like I cannot do that, because I just simply didn't understand the role of religion in this book. She talks a lot about the Spanish Inquisition and how Lucia and her family, they were Jewish, and at the time there was zero tolerance in Spain towards anything else that was other than Roman Catholic religion. And, you know, she describes what they had to do to survive. And I thought that we would have an ultimate message in the book, but then somehow, like, that part of the story just ended up going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. She mentioned that Lucia is Jewish whenever it was like kind of convenient for her in the story, and then we just like forgot about that. That's how I felt. Maybe I am just not understanding something. If you read this book, could you please explain it to me in the comments, the religious aspect of this book, because I kind of didn't get that. So maybe I shouldn't even comment on it, because I just simply didn't understand like why that added religious element was in this book. It's not clear to me. Now, the ultimate question, would I recommend this book? No. Unfortunately, I cannot, and I am really disappointed to say this. This book was boring, and at the end of the day, I feel that it didn't deliver. I couldn't hold on to the plot because I felt that there was none. I couldn't really hold on to the characters because, yeah, I enjoyed that there were so many characters and there were so many like character storylines running in parallel, but I just couldn't really hold on to any of the characters or truly deeply care for any of the characters. And I also do not understand, maybe it's a me problem, but I do not understand what the point of this book was. So, unfortunately, no, I cannot recommend this book. Now, with this final review, this 24-hour readathon is done, and this was a journey, guys. I am a little bit disappointed because I expected so much from this book and also from 5 Broken Blades, the 2 fantasy books that just didn't deliver at all, and I cannot recommend those books, and that's truly not what I expected. But I am trying to focus on the positive here. I found funny story and I enjoyed that book so much. I just love that book, and I highly recommend that you read that book. I mean, that book is so incredibly hyped that you probably already picked it up and probably you already read it. If that's the case, please let me know in the comments down below what you thought of that Emily Henry book. Do you like it? Do you don't like it? Do you like the characters? Did you like the plot? Did you like the family dynamics discussed in the book? Please let me know in the comments below. Now I am going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, you are my hero. Now hit share, like, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I have a lot of fun bookish videos coming up, but in the meantime, if you want to check out any of my other videos, I will leave them on the screen, probably here and here, and I'll see you soon in an upcoming video. Bye!